So yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna introduce this as an Autonomy Season 5 interview. That's something I haven't said in a long time. I did a lot of Autonomy Season 1 interviews. So this is
Okay.
kind of a student highlight focus interview because Season 5 is coming up very soon. And we just kind of wanted to get your backstory. So my name's Chris McMillan, and I'm here with Queen El Bay. So Queen, you recently joined Autonomy a few weeks ago. Actually, it's been a few months now. I remember you did catch one of the last Q&A sessions at the tail end of season 4. Is that right?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm really glad that you're here. I'm really glad that we've caught up. My first question is quite simple. What is your story? What are some of the events that kind of that you've been through that have led you to where you are today?
Man. Well, it's a long story and everybody have stories, but I'm just going to sum it up. It happened in maybe 2017, and basically I was like this where everything went down the drain, where I lost pretty much everything. Being homeless with my children, my husband didn't think that I was going to make it, so he just took off. I guess maybe men handle situations different. They get afraid and just demolish. Sometimes they don't stick around. And he left for 2 whole years, and my oldest daughter basically took care of me. I couldn't walk barely. I couldn't talk. I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I lost every ability of being an adult. I had to come back as a baby, basically.
Were you initially in a coma after the fall? Is that what happened? And then you kind of came out of it? How long were you actually dark, like out of it?
I was dark out of it for months, like at
Oh,
least
wow.
maybe 7 months. But yeah, basically my daughter, and she was only 15, and she went to work every day. She took care of I think my youngest daughter was 8 then. She took care of an 8-year-old, and she was 15 years old working at a group home, a guy that I knew that owned his own business. So we established a relationship. I had been knowing him for many years, being that I was very successful and I knew people that was very successful owning their own business. So I was able to get her a job there so that way she can pretty much, know what it's like to work and make her own paycheck. So at age 15, my firstborn, she worked because she had no other choice but to work, and she practically lived there because she had to pay the rent to keep a roof over our head, because we had transitioned from living out our car to now having a place to stay.
Wow. And
So she
were there any other kids that she was taking care of as well as you? Or there other brothers or sisters?
Yes, it was a sister that was about maybe, I think, 7 at the time,
Okay.
7 or 8 at the time.
My goodness. So
And
your husband took off and your 15-year-old daughter is basically taking care of you and the 7-year-old at the same time.
paying the bills.
Wow. What did she get a job at a restaurant or what was she doing?
Well, like I just stated, my friend owned his own group home business. So she was
Okay.
doing working healthcare
Very good.
at pretty much at the home. It was a group home with elderly people, and she took care of them.
That was a nice synchronicity because she was probably learning relative skills to take home with her, literally.
Yes. And she learned this prior to my accident. I've always was kind of hard on her because I knew the potential she had, because she was a great kid. I start teaching her how to drive when she was 8 years old. So I was doing things, lining things up as though my higher self probably knew already this was going to occur, you know? So she was very, very independent and take care. She knew how to take care of things. So it worked out well, but it did a lot on her trauma wise on her, where she had to take care of a 7-year-old, homeschool the 7-year-old, plus take care of mom that couldn't read, write, spell, I didn't even know my children. When I came out of it, I didn't even know them. So the pictures helped me to remember people. We had family pictures, so that helped a lot.
So what happened then? You're at this point, your daughter's taking care of you and you're slowly recovering. And then eventually what happened after that?
Eventually, I started coming back, but noticing I'm not the same person. I start noticing gifts that most people, like you call humans, don't have. Well, they have them, but they never stepped into their powers. So my hands wouldn't stop burning. I was melting things up. They were like on fire, like literally redness on fire. And so I did a little listen to different YouTubes, and I reached out to this guy on Messenger, and I said to him, I need some assistance. This and this is going on with me, and I want to know who I am. Like, how did I get here? Like, at this point, I didn't even know. I didn't want to sound crazy to my kids because I just started meeting them again, knowing who they were. So I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know if I needed to tell them or not. But I reached out to this guy that I was listening to videos, and so he reached out to me, and I was telling him what's going on with my hands. And he said, oh, it sounds like through this, you came back with your healing modalities. And I said, interesting. So what do I do with this? Because I'm burning stuff up in the house, like catching things on fire. He said, really? And I was like, I sound like a freak to you, don't I? He's like, no, you don't. I've dealt with this before. And I'm like, okay, so help me out of this. How do I stop this? He's like, wait a minute, you don't want to stop this. And I'm like, what? He's like, no, you don't want to turn off this gift. You have healing modality. You have healing powers. And I said, so who's going to teach me how to deal with this? He said, you got to sign up for a school. I'll look in your area to see what type of spiritual school they have in your area. So I found one. And it was called Southwest Institute of Healing Arts in Tempe, Arizona. And I registered for it. And the first class of the mind, body, and wellness program that I was going to get involved in, the first class was life coaching. Remind you, I got in it and I barely could talk. I was like very muffly. Hello, my name is Queen. My name is Queen. So I couldn't talk at the time.
Yeah.
I couldn't read at the time. I didn't have any type of abilities but my hands. So I registered for school. They gave me financial aid, and I started doing this life coaching. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to learn how to heal myself.
Yeah.
So the universe knew basically that it knew that it was taking me a place where I didn't know, but I was being led pretty much. So I
Queen, just a
signed.
quick question. All of the healing arts and all of that, before all the incident, before that happened, what was your awareness of this, all of this? Were you into all that? Had you heard of it, or was this all completely new to you?
This was all new for me. I'm
Okay.
sure if I came back here before in past lives before, I was this person, what I am right now. But my background was Christianity. My dad was a pastor. My mom, they did missionary work, nothing beyond this realm that who I am today. So I had no clue. My husband would talk of it and things like that because he was more spiritual or trying to dive in it and know as well. And so I was being led by him, but I didn't want it. But it was kind of curious for me. So I was just like, yeah, you're weird, you're crazy. Like, and I still was doing what I was doing, going to church. And so I had no attachments to this whatsoever. So
Okay,
that's
very interesting. So you got enrolled in the Institute of Healing Arts. You're like, what is going on? You can barely talk, but you're at least you're doing something. You're trying to find answers for your healing, for what's going on with your hands. And they're like, you're going to get into life coaching. So what
I'm like,
happened?
well, I got into it. At first, I was going back and forth with my spirit, and my daughter was supported me along the journey. She helped me fill out the paper. I had to basically fake it until I made it, because they said you got to be under some type of capacity in order to be in the school. So she did my homework for me. She broke it down. She explained it to me. She read things to me, my schoolwork, and I got through it. And I did life coaching. After the life coaching, it was just different program. What I did nutrition, and after nutrition, I did yoga. After yoga, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I didn't sign up for this, but I didn't know that who I am today, it all lined up. Yoga lined up with my brain so I can be able to heal. So I found spirit was like, then I start getting downloads. Then I start looking within myself to ask questions, and I start meditating, and I start getting downloads. And the first download was find yoga. And I registered for yoga, and it's called Nam Yoga. So the owner there just took me on as I'm her sister. And that was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because Nam Yoga is a form of healing. So I was going to school to be a yoga instructor, but I created a tribe to go to and do yoga at. But Nam Yoga is a form of healing.
Okay, I
So
was going
you
to
can
ask,
heal your
how is it
brain.
different from normal yoga, or what we would think of as
Okay.
normal yoga?
Nam Yoga, they do different mantras, like this mantra here, holding your hands together and going like this.
Okay,
It balances your brain,
okay,
keep you from headaches. It balance your brain. It balance you. So my brain was like, we have two sides of our brain, right? And they
yes,
line up.
yeah,
One side of my brain, which was my right side, it was all the way down like this.
okay. Your right side is generally associated with creativity and the artistic side. The left side of your brain is more of the logical, more mechanical side. So what did that
So,
mean? If your right side, how was that, what was that doing to you?
well, when that happened, that all the dysfunctions that I was having, that's the reason. And so Nam Yoga, it healed me with the different mantras. You can go like this and stop a headache. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nam Yoga, with words, with singing different words, you can actually heal your body. So it's a difference. The regular yoga, it'll keep you balanced, but this yoga, they use mantras and singing to heal you.
Nice. I had never heard of it. Very interesting, Queen. So what
It
happened?
was
So then
it,
I suppose the healing process really started to escalate for you, yeah?
the healing process start escalating, those old memories, some of my old memories start coming up. I start crying and at that point, I'm glad I got with a tribe because I no longer was that person anymore. I no longer fit in anymore. I no longer could manage anything at all. Like my schooling, I went to school for a nursing degree. Prior to this, my background was I was a cosmetology. I was raised in Kenya, and when I came to the United States, I opened up braiding salons. So I had 7 of them. And prior to that, I had a nursing degree, a 4-year nursing degree, and I used to drive trucks for a living. And so that was my background. So I never even thought about yoga because as growing up, my father always told me that that's demonic. That's satanic, demonic, and you don't want to dive in that or you're going to be cursed for the rest of your life. This is what he said to me growing up.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case, being that I found out who I was, where I'm going, and where I came from.
Wow. So the braiding salons, that's you had them there, you had the 7 braiding salons at the time of your accident. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I go
Yes.
back a little bit? You mentioned it was done out of jealousy. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I did an interview with Isabella Green, and she did my spiritual work. And what she does is, if any entities, because sometimes we get attached to past life karmas that our parents build up or our ancestors build up, and it comes a generation to us. And Isabella Green, she unlocks you from all that. And so I got work done from her, and she's in Sedona. Their team is called Team Light. That's where I got my Reiki license for healing. I have my master's in Reiki. So now I'm able to heal people with my hands. So if people don't want to go to surgery, they'll come to me and I can heal them. So in her interview, she found out, because what Isabella Green does, she goes back in time. She travels back in time. And she found out was the ladies that were assisting my 7 salons, they all came together and performed what we call as black magic to kill me, not to just hurt me, to kill me, just to take me out of the game so I wouldn't be their competition.
Okay.
Because I was, if you, I can send you the link for the video that she made of me. I was pretty, had an ego on me. I made a lot of money. I paid off, people homes. I helped a lot in the community. I was very successful.
Well, you were probably good
And
at what you do and you worked with integrity. I mean, that
I
is,
did,
yeah, that's the basis for any successful.
I did. And
I've
they
heard of
just,
this. There's a chiropractor in Arlington, Texas. This lady that I know of, she has quite a reputation for doing just what you talked about. They not only do the healing process in chiropractor and all that, but they take it to they take it through past lives. I don't know the details, but it's always been, I've always had note of that place and always thought about checking it out. But sorry, I interrupted you. You were telling her, so Isabella Green, she's getting to the bottom of it. She found out these 7 ladies conspired. What happened then once you discovered all this?
basically, she discovered that my whole body was stab wound, from my heart to my stomach to my solar plex. Inside was stab wounds. Like they stabbed me over maybe 1,000,000 times in my body. the angels to bring me back, I didn't know the contract that I was signing, that I had to actually find these people to help me heal with inside.
What people are you talking about Isabella Green and
Um,
those?
I'm talking about um the school that I went to,
Okay, sorry. No,
which
just I
is
asked because for a minute it sounded like you had to find the 7 ladies that conspired against you to
no.
heal. That's what I wanted to clarify. Okay.
Oh, okay. So the people that I was led to, which is Southwest Institute Nam Yoga, which is Dr. Nicole. She's a doctor that owns the Nam Yoga. Her name is Dr. Nicole. And Isabella, which I call them Team Light, and they're out of Sedona, Arizona. That's where my with the shaman there. His name is Alexander, and they're part of the team, part of that. And I got my master's in Reiki, and I just leveled up from there. The last work I did was my 22 DNA activation,
What is
where
that?
it expands your level of your brain. Like, we think of 10% of our brain we're only using. So I will have a capacity of pretty much 100% of my brain.
That is cool, man. I only have one. When I used to teach English in Spain for many years, and I had a life coach, one of my students, and she was also a Reiki certified teacher. And I remember sometimes she would, before I, like one time I needed an aspirin or something, and she did something to it. Every once in a while, she would do something to something that I'm about to either eat or take. She was very interesting, and she was like my first introduction to all of that. It's really interesting. Well, cool, Queen. What else? What else happened?
Basically, I just went on a shaman's journey. I did my schooling at Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. I would go to Sedona every week, or pretty much every week, to get healed. Reiki healing from the angels. I would be in the Vortex Mountains all the time. When the class started in Sedona, I would go up every year and take the class. My first certification was a Reiki 1, and then I went to do Reiki 2, and then I finally got my master's in it, Reiki 3, and I just did what it took to get me better, for not just me, for my children, and to be able to have a life with my husband again. It was a beautiful life, and he was the love of my life. We never argued. He was my best friend, and I wanted to get that opportunity again. Don't take me out, and that just be the end, and then my children suffer. It's not fair, being that I was a good steward. I did things to help people in this life. That's why I was able to pretty much do this life again and reincarnate back in this life, because I did a good deed. Even though I had the ego, I helped a lot of people.
Okay, I gotta go. I gotta ask you. So that time when you fell and you're gone, you've basically you're brain dead. Um, what do you remember, if anything? I mean, was it like you were dreaming? And what happened, or was it
All I
just you
remember,
woke up in the hospital, or what happened?
all I can remember is me laying in the bed, and me jumping out my sleep, holding my throat, holding my stomach, and saying something is wrong. Somebody's attacking me. Running to my daughter's room, knocking on the door. I'm like, help me, help me. I can't breathe. Something is going on. Something is happening to me. And she's like, mom. And she woke up my sister. And then my spirit, I just went right to the shower, because I couldn't breathe at this. Having water on me will wake me up if I was in a dream or not. I didn't even know if I was in the dream. And all of a sudden I get in the shower, and And that's all I remember. My daughters tell me I fell out, and I fell out of the shower, and the floors was concrete.
Man, you were, yeah, it's a good thing you were at home. And I mean, if something horrible like that's going to happen, that was probably the best situation. I mean, at least you were at home with your daughters there, so they could get help immediately. So, by the time now, this is all you've got your Reiki certification and all of that. Are we talking 2019, 2020? We're looking at what, 3 years after the incident now?
After the incident, then it started. I don't know the days. I can't
Okay.
keep up days or time. That's not one of my abilities. So I have to be.
Well, would you consider
Oh,
yourself fully recovered now from all of that?
no,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
no. It haven't. That's why I did the 22 DNA activation, so that way it can come on pretty quick, because I can't no longer be in society and not being able to function and help my children, help to be able to provide for my children. And at this time, even though I'm learning and I have all these gifts and I have these certificates, I can't do anything with them because I don't have the right now to be able to endure and be able to make a living for my children. So it's a challenge for me.
Well, it's interesting because right from the beginning of our conversation, Queen, you mentioned being outside the matrix. And I thought, this is definitely all of the synchronicities that have happened to you that have led you to the Healing Institute and led you to the Reiki. This would not have happened without that accident. And now, basically, it seems to me it like completely uh, just pulled you out of the matrix and it kind of has. That's what's happening right now, that the path that's led you to autonomy, because as you probably figured out by now, it's not your typical kind of class. It's pretty much outside the matrix as well, from the outside looking in and analyzing it all. um, how did you find out about autonomy? What led you to your conversation with Joshua and Richard?
Well, someone in Sedona, a light worker, her name is Star. She made a couple videos, and I had followed her, and she said, if you need any work done with your website, or you're posting videos, call this person. I forgot his name. I think it was Matt or something. And so I emailed the guy, and he emailed me back, and we set up a time to talk. And he asked me, how did I hear from him? How did I know him? And I was telling him someone in Sedona. And then I discussed my story with him, and he said, oh, I have the perfect people for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, you can't help me. You can't fix it. And he's
You're
like,
like,
I've
man,
been
I
through.
thought it was going to be easier than this.
Only thing I was contacting him actually for is to help me with my YouTube and the copyright, the things to say on the video so it won't get booted off. Because that's what I had started doing. I started creating YouTube channels, and that I couldn't do anything. I just took pictures of myself on my journey and just put it together like a film, and people watched my journey. Like, I used to climb the big, huge mountains in Sedona. I mean, all the way at the top, and just different things that I've done. I used to just put it on the video because I wasn't able to articulate anything far as too many words. So that's what I done. So I wanted to reach out to him. And also, I had my YouTube for my business and all that. So he was like, I got a perfect group for you, Autonomy. I'm like, what is, like, are you kidding me? Like, I didn't sign up for this. I just want you to help me. He was like, listen, you got to meet them. I'm having this guy, Josh, call you in the next hour. Woo, woo. And I was like, oh, man, come on, school again. Then I had already graduated from school, and I'm just like, it's an overload right now in my brain. And you talk about more learning. And, when we talk about more learning, it's reading and writing and spelling and I don't have all those abilities. So I'm like, okay. So I'm at the gym and I get a phone call from Josh and he's like, what's up, Queen? And I'm like, huh? He's like, this is Josh. I'm like, okay, who are you? And then, cause I had forgot about the conversation we had. And because that happens at times too, I just totally blank out and forget. I can forget where I'm at sometimes, you know, when I get too overwhelmed and stressed. So he was like, I was like, I'm at the gym. He was like, when can we set up a time? I'll text you, whatever the case may be. And I just told him a brief on me. He was like, oh my goodness, Queen. Like, I can't believe this. Like, we really got to hook up. He was like, you know, I just told him basically, listen, you got to be on me because I'll totally forget about everything that we talk about. And he was on me. He was consistent with me. Like, hey, Queen, if I don't answer the phone, he'll email me. And he know I get back to my emails very well. And he was just on me, and I greatly appreciate it. But if he didn't be on me, it wouldn't click in my brain. It's just different than other people. So I end up meeting him, and it's just all heels downhill from there. Like, it's just me right now in my story, and how
I'm
I've
laughing because,
endured it.
you finally wrote me back on Discord, and I was this close to texting you, like you said with Joshua, like stay on me. And I told Joshua, I said, yeah, I don't know where she went, man. And he goes, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's just keep an eye out for her. If we don't hear back from her, here's her number. And then you wrote me back and we've arranged it. Yeah, good on you. I know it's not easy, especially from the tech side. I had problems in the beginning of autonomy as well. You overcome them very quickly, but that's one of the many things autonomy is all about, is learning how to recognize the problem, don't get overwhelmed, and just how to deal with it. Recognize when you're experiencing learned helplessness, when you're experiencing the scarcity mindset. And I'm very excited for you, because whatever your idea of what you think autonomy is about, as of now, at this point, it's going to be much more profound by the time, it actually gets going. But yeah, the important thing is don't panic, relax, and don't get overwhelmed. Because I'm not going to lie to you, it is a lot of information very quickly. But here it all is on the table. You take what you want from the table, and you're in for life. It's like a community for life. There are people, for example, that signed up for season 1, but then things happened and they didn't get around till like season 2 or 3 or 4 even to actually participate and get involved and start doing stuff. You do it at your own pace. But very good. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that worked out for you. So what are your main pain points that you've got that you hope to overcome from the autonomy course?
Um, Basically, I didn't know what I was getting into. And being that I've been watching videos and things like that, it's pretty much lined up with what I've been doing before my accident. Nationality, birth certificates, driver's license, just everything attached to the government. I had already prior been through it. So it's like, my angels, you all my angels, because you guys think like I think on that side and operate like that. Like, I've lost all my abilities far as school, and you guys cancel those abilities and teach people the right way.
Look,
And
Queen, there is a truth out there. Things are the way they are, irrelevant of any opinion. Okay. So what we do in autonomy and have done in the past with Richard Grove's podcast, Tragedy and Hope, the Peace Revolution, it's a way of critical thinking. So it's what we just try to approach things in a very methodical way to separate the signal from the noise. And because there's a lot of confusion out there, and that's intentional. There is actually a lot of intent behind all of the lost souls out there. And all the pieces, we're just always trying to put the pieces together. from the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, the how, and eventually, as you keep learning this stuff and you keep learning the techniques of being able to see through all of the BS, it's just amazing. It's a process, and it's just the truth out there is irrelevant to any politics, any of that. So
That's true.
yeah, yeah. Separate the signal from the noise. That's one of Richard's.
And that's what I needed. I'm like, oh, this is my family for life. Like, we about to blow up because, like, that's what I was on. I'm like, oh my, like, this is one of the greatest gifts that I can ever receive right now is having people that understand where I'm coming from and things like that. Yes, my greatest my challenges that I'm facing at this time, I will never allow it to affect me because I'm willing to ask for help or say, if I don't know something, I'm quick to say I don't know it.
This is very important. The attachment to ego is a major hindrance to any spiritual development. The inability to say, I was wrong, and also the willingness to ask for help. So what do you think? Is it a guy girl thing you think is true? Guys won't stop and ask for directions?
Well, sometimes, but I don't get involved with, what people say or the program. When you don't, I'll say this: when you don't have an ego, it's not controlling you anymore. So you will ask for anything. If you don't know something, you'll ask. So it's just the ego side, fourth dimension, higher self. It's that ego. When you don't let that ego know to get behind me, I don't need you anymore. How about go on a vacation and I'll bring you back when I need you? It's that ego that affects us all, humanity. But I don't operate in ego at all. Like, if
So
I don't know
something
something and you making fun of me, then that means you are.
Yeah, something you
Mhm.
said before that I thought was interesting was the power of positive thinking, and that is also quite a few things that you've said are kind of like mantras in the autonomy community. And so I was thinking, yeah, you're definitely, we're definitely looking forward to getting to know you. And what was it? Just the mindset. A positive mindset is essential, and so many people these days out there are being beaten down by everything that's going on. Um, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Well, that's how I end up learning how to talk. Um, I had my daughter write. My brain wasn't working, but it never removed me being an entrepreneur. And so I had my daughter, I had all these affirmations and I had them write them on the card. And I used to walk the mountain, which it's here in Tempe called A Mountain. And I used to walk up that mountain and read those affirmations because at that point we had my daughter did an audio, like a recording, and I would put it in my ears and play it and look at the cards going up and down the mountain every day for 6 whole months, every day looking at the affirmations. So that helped me in my healing process as well. So after the 6 months, I was able to talk. And so because of that, I would like to do a audio and a book called, the name of the title will be called 101 Affirmations.
That
And those
sounds definitely sounds like a project we can help you with.
the affirmations that I have now is on cards, and they are 101 affirmations that me and my daughter sat and created to help me transform my brain to send a signal off for me to be able to speak again.
The first time I heard the power of affirmations was a friend of autonomy's. Derek Bros. He's a journalist and an activist, and that was one of his mantras. He always started off his speeches by people, telling people, you every day you've got to basically, you are powerful, you're beautiful, you are free. That's his affirmations. He has encourages everybody to say every day. He's got T-shirts. You are. I don't know if he says you are or I am. Yeah, I'm powerful. I'm beautiful. I'm free. And there is something to that. I have tried that myself. It does definitely help. You feel a bit silly at first, but so what? You're alone. So
Well, when I walk in the bathroom, I have them all over my mirror because that helps me to strive even more because it's a lot. It's a lot for me to now my oldest daughter, she's in North Carolina and it's just me and the children. My husband, he comes in and out, he's still living that teenager life where he just be stable and help raise his children. So he's going through a transition and eventually he will get better. I have unconditional love for him, but right now it's just me with no family support. People that I meet become my family. It's like,
so your daughter, how old was she? Is she what, 19 now, 20?
my oldest daughter, she no longer lives here. She lives in North Carolina. So now I'm talking about who's here with me right now is my daughter. She's 12 years old now.
And she was
And
7 when all this happened. 7,
yes,
yeah.
so she's 12 years old and I have a 1 year old because my husband ended up coming back and we created a baby and
Congratulations. That's great.
yay. And he walks in and out like he
Yeah.
holds me on his hand like a puppet, like he's in and out. So he's not reliable, and I get it. I wasn't there before. Now I'm higher than him, so eventually he'll get his life together. I believe in him, but until then, I'm pretty much by myself in this journey. Every man's for themselves.
When I was in college, I had an ex-girlfriend who every time the clock turned 11:11, she always said, "It's 11:11, make a wish." And, I didn't think much about it. And so I got to ask you, what is the power with 11:11?
It's affirmations to matter of fact, hold on 1 minute. It's basically this book right here.
Okay. Angel
It's the
numbers
angel.
101. Okay.
This is the angel's number. And let's look at 1111, what it says. This number brings you the ultimate message that your thoughts are manifesting rapidly. So keep your mind set, focus on your ideas. Give any fearful thoughts to heaven for transformation.
Nice. That is nice. I've written that number that book down. Angel numbers 101. Yeah, we're always searching we'll never stop searching till the day we die. We're always going to be learning and searching for the truth. The
But your mind is pretty much powerful. So, they said in the Bible, what so shall a man think he becomes? So our brains are like poison, like they're toxic. And if you don't pay attention to what's uh, hacking your system, which is your brain, it can pretty much take you out.
Yeah, this is something I've only come to actually realize in the past few years. Things like the crap that they put on TV and the movies. You think, okay, like a horror film, okay, it's good fun, haha, ooh, I like to be scared. But I'm starting to realize there are much more sinister things going on. There's this one guy, Jay Dyer. He tackles a lot of the esoteric symbolism that goes on in throughout Hollywood, and yeah, the power of symbolism. That's a whole other conversation. Um, Very interesting, Queen. I wanted to ask you also. So, what's the story of you coming from Kenya to Arizona? How did you end up? How did that happen?
I'm a risk taker. I just do it. When a person tell me that I can't do something, I do the opposite. It's been like that all my
So
life.
you moved
Haven't caused
yourself
me.
from Kenya to Arizona, or it wasn't like your parents came over when you were a kid or something like that?
No, they were already here because they were missionaries and things, and they lived in Illinois. And then I came here, Illinois, and then I just traveled North Carolina, and then my last stop was Arizona, and it's just been my spiritual awakening here. So, um, you know,
Yeah.
I'm just grateful. Is it hard? I'll be a lie to say that this walk is easy. Every day I wake up wishing that things would just change for me financially. I'm attached. I want to be detached from the government, but I make my bed in that every day by I'm on disability now, and that's the only way I can feed my family. And I want a way out. I've authenticated my birth certificate, my children birth certificates. Um, on my driver's license, it says all rights reserved because I got tricked to sign this, bamboozled to sign this, or you're not going to give it to me. So I can't drive around and take my children from A to B. So I'm forced to sign the driver's license. So I sign it, all rights reserved. So, I'm in this program, and I just need to find a way out for me to make money for my family and not have to rely on the government ever again. Get off the grid. And that's, as I'm healing, that's what I'm working on, to be sovereign, is what
Well,
I call it.
well, ever since a lot of people, as they've joined autonomy, they'll soon discover that it is kind of there are things that you to expect, but some of the things that are more on the unexpected side are just the networks that you make in the community often opens up a lot of opportunities where they that come from where you don't expect it. I mean, it's yeah, I'm like I
Absolutely.
said, I'm very excited for you.
I can I really say that because through autonomy, I met this lady, Jan, and we talk on the regular basis now every day. We just created a prayer line for me, and she called me, and we pray every day, and things have just like drastically shift. I went from having a place to stay, eviction notice, and winning that eviction notice to having my own home. So they say prayer is powerful when you bring in your ancestors and all your higher selves on all timelines and all space, all dimensions of your higher self, because we have a higher self that is pretty much controlling the vehicle once you allow it, once you allow your body to be a vessel, be used. When you pray, prayer is powerful and things start shifting, because then that means the angels are in the midst and helping you. You're crying out for help and they are assisting you. So things have been shifting in my life. I end up getting blessed with a big, beautiful home, backyard that my son can play in. It's just incredible. And this is a brand new house, only a year old. And don't ask me how it's gonna get paid for. That'll be the next topic. But
Yeah.
I'm believing and I'm having that everything is working out for the greatest higher good.
Queen, we should probably wrap up. It's been
Okay.
so nice talking to you and getting to know you, and I look forward to working with you as we, push forward in the next autonomy season. And of course, I can see you're already not wasting any time networking in in autonomy, already meeting people. Um,
Yes.
do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yes, for everyone who's watching this video, there's no excuses. If I can do it without able to read, write, spell, articulate, you can do it. And when you're making excuses, that means you don't want it bad as you can breathe. So keep showing up for yourself, keep moving forward. And I promise you, at the end of the tunnel, you're going to see the light because I see it. Namaste.
Have you found that your skills aren't matching up with the challenges ahead? Here are 19 essential skills for success that school never taught you. Get your free copy by following the link below or visit getautonomy.info/19skills.